The Kaaba is the most sacred site in Islam. But how did it become that way? Did it just magically appear there one day? No. The Kaaba has a long history that dates back well before the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. In fact, the Kaaba was a place of worship for various pagan Arab tribes long before Islam came to Mecca. Today we're going to look at the history of the Kaaba from its construction until the time of the Prophet Muhammad. What was it used for? Who built it? And what were some of the challenges it faced throughout its early history? Let's find out. According to Islamic tradition, the Kaaba was constructed by none other than Prophet Ibrahim, also known as Abraham in the distant past. At the time, Makkah was a small settlement inhabited by various Arab tribes. Ibrahim, along with his son Ismail, rebuilt the Kaaba when it became dilapidated or was destroyed. Sometime before this, it had been originally constructed by Adam, the first human being after he left Jannah or paradise. Others claim that it was constructed by the Prophet Hud, peace be upon him. Hud's people, however, were idolaters and they used the Kaaba for worshipping false gods. This caused the Kaaba to lose its sanctity over time. So Abraham rebuilt it into a house of worship for one God only. Abraham is believed to have constructed the Kaaba around 2000 BCE, which makes the structure over 4,000 years old. There are no written records from this time period, so all we have to go on are oral histories and religious texts like the Quran. According to these accounts, Abraham and his son Ismail rebuilt the Kaaba as a place of worship for the one true God, Allah. They built it out of stone and mud and made it into a cube shape, which is why it is called the Kaaba, which means cube in Arabic. Abraham then called to all the people of Makkah and the surrounding area to come and perform their worship in the Kaaba. He also placed the Hajar al-Aswad, or the black stone, which had originally fallen from paradise in the eastern corner of the building. The black stone is believed to have miraculous powers and is now set into a silver frame in the wall. Over time, the Kaaba became a focal point for pilgrims who would travel from all over Arabia to worship Allah. During the pre-Islamic period, the Kaaba was considered the holiest site in Arabia. It was a destination for merchants and traders who would stop by on their way to and from distant lands. Some evidence suggests that even non-Arab peoples knew about the Kaaba. The Greek writer Strabo, who lived in the 1st century BCE, mentioned a temple in Arabia that was visited by pilgrims from all over the world. In the 4th century CE, the Christian theologian Cosmas Indicopleustes described visiting the Kaaba and was amazed by the number of pilgrims who came to worship there. By the 7th century CE, the Kaaba was a major destination for Muslims, Christians and Jews. However, the pagan Arabs were the main group who worshipped at the Kaaba during this time period. They believed that the Kaaba was the home of many gods and goddesses, including Hubal, the supreme deity, Al-Lat, Al-Uzza and Manat, who were all female deities. The pagans also believed that the Kaaba was guarded by powerful genies or elemental beings that controlled the forces of nature. There were many rituals and ceremonies that took place at the Kaaba. The most important of these was the Hajj, or pilgrimage to Mecca. During the Hajj, Muslims would travel from all over the world to perform a series of religious duties, including circling the Kaaba 7 times. Other rituals included the sacrifice of animals, the stoning of the pillars, and the shaving or cutting of hair. These rituals were intended to purify the worshippers and bring them closer to God. They also served as a reminder of the covenant that Abraham had made with God to worship only him in the Kaaba. Despite its religious significance, the Kaaba was not always spared from conflict. In 326 CE, an earthquake damaged the building, and it was rebuilt by the tribe of Quraysh. A few decades later, in 480 CE, the Byzantine Emperor Zeno sent an army to destroy the Kaaba because he wanted to put an end to the paganism practiced there. The army looted Mecca and broke down the doors of the Kaaba, but they were unable to destroy it completely. By the 6th century, the polytheistic practices at the Kaaba were becoming increasingly corrupt. The various Arab tribes were fighting each other for control of the city, and the pilgrims who came to visit the Kaaba often found themselves caught in the crossfire. The situation became so bad that the Quraysh tribe, who were in control of Mecca at the time, decided to ban people from coming to the city for fear of violence. This led to a decline in the importance of the Kaaba as a place of worship. Then came the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who was born in Mecca in 570 CE. His teachings challenged the existing social order, and he soon gained a following of his own. When he began preaching the message of Islam, the polytheists of Mecca including those who controlled the Kaaba, saw him as a threat to their power and way of life. They persecuted the Muslims and tried to prevent them from practicing their religion. However, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, remained steadfast in his message and continued to preach Islam. In 613 CE, he and his followers were forced to leave Mecca and migrate to Medina, an event known as the Hijra or emigration. This marked the beginning of the Islamic calendar. After the Muslims established themselves in Medina, they began to grow in numbers. Soon, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was able to return to Mecca with an army and take control of the city. One of his first acts as the conqueror of Mecca was to enter the Kaaba and cleanse it of the idols that had been set up inside. He then reaffirmed the Kaaba's status as the holiest site in Islam and restored it as a place of worship for Muslims around the world. Since then, the Kaaba has remained in Islam as a symbol of unity, faith, and devotion. Every year, millions of Muslims from all walks of life come together in Makkah to perform the Hajj and other religious duties. The Kaaba continues to be a source of inspiration and guidance for Muslims everywhere, reminding them of the importance of worshiping one God and submitting to His will. The history of the Kaaba is a fascinating journey through time that takes us back to the earliest days of Islam. From its humble beginnings as a small building made of stone and mud to its current status as the holiest site in Islam, the Kaaba has witnessed countless miracles, battles, and moments of great significance. As we reflect on the rich history of this ancient structure, we are reminded of the power of faith and the enduring legacy of Prophet Ibrahim and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who played pivotal roles in shaping its destiny. The Kaaba is not just a building. It is a symbol of hope, unity, and devotion. May its ancient walls continue to stand for generations to come, reminding us of the importance of worshiping one God and submitting to His will. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos about Islamic history, please subscribe. We'd love to have you here. Thank you for watching.